Hello everyone, 'tis I. I want to start a series on the Catholic Church and try and help those of us who have been through this organization the opportunity to heal, vent, etc. And I want to talk about something of concern if you're still involved in a parish, a church, etc. And I'm not going to predict the future, but I'm going to let you know what's happened in my area where Catholic churches have stood for a century or more. I was born and raised in West Dallas, Wisconsin. My grandparents, hard-earned money, built these churches, some of the churches in the area. Um, uh, St. Matthias, Mary Queen of Saints, and then my parents, St. Aloysius. And so I'm going to tell you my experience with the hopes of warning other people and helping others if or when their church ends up in the rubble, just like ours did. So, anyways, my maternal grandparents' church is still standing. That's St. Matthias Church. They have attendance, they have parishioners, etc. I think their school's still up and running. I just looked into the church recently. Mary Queen of Saints has been sold off. It is being used by another church, a Christian church, and my childhood church, St. Aloysius, a number of years ago was sold off because, and I talked to someone who worked in the church 10 years prior to, it was stated to me that there was mismanagement of funds, and those who love this church invested 10 years of their lives keeping it afloat. When they no longer could anymore, the church was eventually sold to its initial investor for under $1 million. This included the church, rectory, and school. The initial investor, everyone thought they could rehab the entire campus, and unfortunately, there was asbestos in the church, and the school is not ADA compliant, so they realized it was more cost effective to demolish the entire site, except for the convent that's still standing, but those are apartments, so those are being utilized, but to demolish the remaining buildings on the site and eventually erect apartments. I think 150 apartments or more. So, anyways, I'm going to talk about my experience since I have been heavily involved in the site for the past 2 years. Now, St. Aloysius campus was sold off in 2020-21-ish. And I wasn't around. I had gotten married and moved, etc., and wasn't involved in the Catholic Church. So I had no idea that my school was sold off and there was going to be a final mass and final walkthrough of the school, because I like to keep memories. So if I had known, I would have gone through the school and I would have taken pictures of the clocks and the hallways and the stairwells and the artwork and my classrooms, library, and all sorts of really fun things that us kids remember. And instead, unfortunately, it met its demise, and in the past 5 years, it has been simply gone through by vandals. Vandals have basically destroyed every aspect of the school, tagged it, etc., and broke a lot of the glass and made it just unsafe for people to go through. And with the initial investor, I did some research with the city of West Dallas, the city hall, and I said, who bought it? And they told me, and I went there and I said, what happened to the library? They said the library was left intact. So the initial investor was so gracious, and they gave me the remaining 30 boxes of books. And all I was doing was hoping to find my name written on a library card, which I did. I found one. But with the rest of the books, I got a couple hundred books. I donated over 300 books to schools in my area, and I saved the older books from the 60s, 70s, 80s, etc., with the hopes of getting these books to different parishioners and students, etc. And so then I said, well, what happened to the rest of the stuff that was left in the school records and report cards, school pictures, etc. And I was informed that after the West Dallas Historical Society came through and gathered some things for display in their establishment, the Archdiocese came through and removed 50 boxes of items from the school. Lo and behold, I have been in touch with the Archdiocese, someone by the name of Shelley Taylor and Barbara Cusack, and I was informed. I said, hey, why don't you let us alumni go through? We're all professionals and we all have handled confidential documentation. And I was informed by both of them, only if you have a master's degree in archival records are you allowed to touch anything. And I've reached out to various universities, the library, etc., and they said that's nonsense. We have volunteers that come through, wear gloves, and go through documents all the time. Archival documents. We don't require a master's degree, etc. And I have hit a brick wall. I don't know what they have, but in my heart, I believe they have things that are really important to us that are not confidential. Not only that, I have tried my best to get into the other schools that are in the process of being sold or closed in order to take photos for their alumni as well. And let me tell you something. It has been one of the most heartbreaking things to deal with people who believe they own these buildings, that they own these documents, that they are the key masters. And we know what happened in Ghostbusters with the key master. That's what I feel I'm facing, a huge monster. And I am so disheartened. In fact, I called, and when I went through St. Rita's School in West Dallas, 60th and Lincoln. Went through, they had one mass Friday afternoon, and I waited and I said, I'd like to take pictures of the church. And they said, that's fine. And one woman was she's in love with the church. She just has a heart for St. Rita's. And we walked through and I got pictures. And I said, I would like to go into the school before it's sold. And they said, yeah, that would be great. Get a hold of this guy named, I won't say his name. I'll say his name is Dave. That's it. And he would be happy to get you into the school because then you can get pictures for the students. And I said, that would be great. Call Dave. And it has been nothing but smashing my head against a brick wall. When I told him I would love to come in and take pictures, he said, I'm not going to pay you for your photography. I said, I'm donating my time. I don't want through your alumni to go what we've gone through because our church is in rubbles. It is gone. We cannot capture memories anymore. So let me do this. Fight tooth and nail, and got a hold of his boss and finally got in, which was a 30-minute jaunt. And that was it. So anyways, I'm just letting you know, if you go to a Catholic school, buyer beware. You might love the church, but the church folks don't love you. You can say what you want. I was born and raised Catholic. I know, because I've been there, I've lived it, and I've experienced the aftermath. So anyways, if you have an opportunity and your school is still open and it's in session, talk to the principal of the school, walk through when they're on break. See if their maintenance guy will walk through with you. Tell them you don't want to take anything. Tell them you want to get memories. Because I can tell you this, in my heart, I know a majority of these parishes, churches, and schools are going to cease one day or another. And when yours comes tumbling to the ground, that's it. There will be nothing left. So anyways, work with the companies that buy these schools, offer to help before they start demo. It'll be much easier to get in and grab things. But anyways, that's all I've got for now. I'm going to continue to do my series and give you updates regarding the work that I'm doing to try to get a hold of records and such, and my fight with the Archdiocese, and is it going to go anywhere? I'm not sure. But anyways, that's all I've got for now, and I will be back.